Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. Is it Wednesday?
Yes.
I think it's Wednesday.
Yes,
if
it
you
is.
hear weird noises in the background, our bulldog, my
us.
bulldog is right next to, no it's not, it might be us, but the bulldog is right next to us making bulldog noises like she does. So we are here today with the amazing Farlee Walker. I've been really excited about this because we've been trying to get this going for a while, haven't we?
Time.
So we met last year, was it last year?
It was, yeah.
So I taught Farlee Reiki last year and that's how we met, and she told me a little bit about her story, which I thought we have to do an interview around that because that sounds pretty cool. So I will leave it up to Farlee to introduce herself and then we will get started.
All right, I'm Farlee, as Carly just said, and we met doing the Reiki because I was on a bit of a journey exploring alternate healing modalities, healing in general in terms of personal development. How much backstory do you want? Whole life? Okay.
Yeah, go on. I know you've got more story than
that. So much. So it was a long process for me to get into any sort of personal development. I would say all the way up until I was probably like 35. I just didn't even really believe in it. I was just kind of like, just get on with it, do shit. What's the point in reading about fixing this, fixing that? Like, just move on, get on with it. And that was very much my way of getting through everything. It was like, that happened. This is like, I would always know why. This is why, move on. And that came to a halt, which I think you will have seen the heading, when I was arrested for selling drugs and went to jail and had to do some. They make you do stuff when you're in there. And that was the beginning. But I'll track back and quickly go through what sort of led me there. So, and it's probably a lot of that, this happened, do something, move on. I came from a home environment that was good on like most levels, like it was amazing. However, I think I'm a really empathetic person, even though for a long time you wouldn't have known that because of the way that I was presenting.
Which was how?
Which was just very matter of fact, to the point.
Blunt?
Yeah, totally blunt.
Did people think you were rude?
Not often. The people thought I was aloof, and people I didn't know would maybe think I was rude. My friends probably knew better. Like, I would always be there to help them and do everything like that. But it was more probably my own sort of mechanisms to not feel other people's shit too deeply, which really came, I think, I'm assuming, from when I was growing up. Mum had manic depression. That was a lot. And I think that empathy that I had was just learned really, really young to tiptoe around someone else's feelings and to make sure that I was, no trouble, did everything right. My actions didn't have an impact on her, because that always was a spiral. So it was much easier just to do everything right. And I guess that's where my matter-of-fact way of dealing with things came as well. That happened, so this, and just began to deal with things like that. So that was just what I did. I did the right thing. I was really good in school. I had good friends. It was all like happy, or so I thought. I did uni degrees that I thought I should do because I was smart and really moved out of fitness, which is what I wanted to do. But, I thought better do something else. I did psych, didn't want to do anything with it at the end. I was like, that's some airy-fairy bullshit. Changed my mind a little bit on that now because, as I said back then, I didn't believe in delving into the whys. I just believed in stopping the pattern and taking action to make a change, which was probably more of a symptom of like quite high-functioning anxiety in hindsight that I didn't know I had until very recently. So went through, did all the things, got all the degrees, got really good jobs, thought I was kind of happy, but there was a lot of self-medicating going on, a lot of risk-taking behaviour, a lot of, a real like fuck you to the world. It was like, I can be all this on one side, but in the background, I can be out doing this, and this. I can drink till 4 a.m, go out, take drugs and show up at uni, work, all the things. And it was like I was just trying to prove that I could be one thing there and one thing there and like win at everything.
Was that you rebelling against being responsible most of the time?
I think
I did exactly the same thing. Yeah.
I think it was, and I think it was just a real fuck you to authority and a fuck you to the system and a fuck you to having to be so strong and perfect and good all the time. It was like, well,
you need an outlet where you don't have to be all those things.
Yeah, and it was easy for me because of like I was always wearing a mask. Like I had this, like the fitness person, I had the accountant person when I was doing accountant, I had the drug dealer when I was doing that. Like I had all these different masks and none crossed. And I thought it was all well and good. I ended up stopping accounting. I just was in this really shit job. And I decided after that it would be a really good idea to just sell drugs full time. It was not such a good idea.
Sounds like a great plan,
such a good idea. And it's a different game then because you're dealing with shitty people. Like, you know, the more time and the more you got to do, the lower the echelon of person, which means, you know, you're not even making money because no one pays. So my accounting background didn't come in that handy because, you know, no one follows business rules. So that ended tragically with jail, which was really the best thing that ever happened to me. All the walls had to come. When I got arrested, the first thing I said to my friend when I called her was like, "Don't tell Mum." Like that was literally my sole concern.
What did Mum find?
She told Mum. My friend told it was my birthday, so Mum was calling my phone.
Oh no.
So my friend answered it and told her. But yeah, I mean, again, that just shows that from forever, my biggest concern was always what impact will my actions have on her, and what spiral that caused in her. You know, like it was just that pattern from forever. So off I went to jail, and then I had to start doing some stuff. They make you. It was also like without external shit around you, everything just gets stripped back. Like you don't have phones, you don't have the internet, you're all wearing the same thing, you're all eating the same food. It's a real level playing field. Everybody's a lot more honest and open as a rule with each other. Like it wasn't that bad of an experience, really.
How long were you in for?
I got 4 years and I did 2 years, 2 months.
That's a long time.
It is. It was a long time because I didn't get sentenced for 16 months. So a lot of it was in the unknown. The prosecution wanted 7.
It must have been a lot of drugs.
It was, it was fun, yeah. Well, it was this many drugs. Like it wasn't, but it was, allegedly. Yeah. Who knew? I mean, on the news you see, you know what's small, and you know what's big. So then there's these small amounts in between that are actually big. So that's sort of where that fell. In that sort of, like it was, I got charged with trafficking. But it got dropped to multiple sell and supplies in the end, and that I pled guilty in exchange for that, and that's why it all took so long because my house got seized and all the rest. So, and it wasn't the same drugs; so they'd added it together to get trafficking. So there was a lot of back and forward, and that's why I was in custody for so long, unsentenced, and that's why I did more than half the time as well because I hadn't finished my programs in time to get I got my parole, but I couldn't go because the program results weren't in.
Did you do Pathways?
I did, yeah.
Which is like a personal development program in a lot of ways as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did you get from that?
I mean, a lot of it was very much like I did a psych degree, so there was a lot. I mean, I knew a lot of it. I really enjoyed it though. It was good, and listening to what I got most from it was that what I considered was a good choice when I left accounting in terms of it's just there's supply and demand. People are buying stuff that they want. They're making their own choices. I was selling to kids, but you know, I wasn't stealing from the shop. Like there was a lot of justification that you make at a point in time that isn't valid when you see the flow-on effects and the other people that weren't the same as me, the reasons that they're in jail, whether it be stealing, home invasions of old people, you know, domestic violence situations that are all fallout from the shit I was doing.
Yeah.
So that's primarily what I really came to terms with.
Yeah.
Because for most of my time in jail, I was like, fuck that, selling, like it was supply and demand, isn't it? It's just an unregulated market. Someone else is going to sell it. I was like, fair price, I don't cut it. Like I had all these justifications why.
And you don't get to see the victims until
down the track. Yeah.
You experience what drugs do in the community, right?
Yeah.
And all the victims that leads to when people are trying to fund their drug habit. Yeah.
Exactly, and that people that are in jail for trying to buy stuff from people like me, for doing things to people, which obviously I don't abide. So that was probably the main thing that I got out of that.
What was it like coming out after so long?
Look, I had done a bit of work, as I said, and I knew I was going to go back into fitness. Like when I was in jail, I started off working in gardens. That was fun. And then they found out that I was in fitness, so they asked me to work in the gym, and that was fun. So it was really good. Like I got to spend.
So it actually got you back on the fitness path that you
what
had gone away from,
because I thought it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not good enough for me.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. So it really led me
Interesting.
back.
Yeah.
I had to renew my registration, so I was doing like coursework in jail that my sister had, because I couldn't get online. My sister had to print it out, send it in. I had to do all the work, send it back to her. She had to upload it. It was like everybody had to get involved. It was what I also learned in jail was like it's okay to like ask for help. Like I was so used to being an island, like massively. I would never trust anyone else's ability to do anything. I could always do it better. I just never asked for help, never asked for opinions, just always, I was good at giving them, but I would never let people help me, but you have to because you can't do anything.
No man's an island.
Like, and you haven't got contact. People had to deal with the lawyers, my house, my stuff, things like this, because I knew like when I get out, I need to work.
Did you go back to the same house that you were in?
I did. Yeah, totally.
Which is fortunate because a lot of people don't have that opportunity when they come out of prison,
Mum was like, sell it. Like, and it sat empty because it was seized originally until I got sentenced for a long time. And then as soon as I got sentenced and it wasn't trafficking, the bank started foreclosure on it because I hadn't paid the mortgage in 16 months. So another friend of mine had to deal with that. It was a lot, but I knew that when I got out, I was not going to get another mortgage anytime soon. My bills hadn't been paid, like my credit rating, and I worked hard for that house. I paid for it with accounting money, and buying a house when I was really young. So it had nothing to do with. I had no clue that could happen. Like I was like, can prove I paid for it with my accounting wage, but no, they don't care. So it was very lucky that I went back to it. I was still very much a matter-of-fact person at that point. So when I got out, I really just hit the ground running. I was still in that, I guess, high-level anxiety, fight or flight, get things done. So I just started teaching classes. I started doing my actual PT qualification. And I just hit the ground running. I'd been told by a lot of people, you'll feel really like weird in the world, and you'll be really anxious, and it'll feel like there's just so much new stuff around. I didn't really have any of that at all. Like I just was fine, so that was good. Then I started like PTing, loved it. It was amazing. I got a business coach, so I shared a lot of my story then as well, like just in terms of being authentic and stuff. I shared my story, so it's never been anything that people now don't know. So I really sort of stretched back those compartmentalized lives that I was living before, and really just let people sort of know who I was. I tried to be a lot more vulnerable with things, more honest, not only showing that all the good all the time. Like, if I felt like shit, I'd say I felt like shit, just really starting to let people in, I suppose, rather than...
How are you feeling right now?
Right now, this second, I'm feeling good. Yeah, I love talking. I'm really quite good at talking.
You're good at talking.
Yeah, slightly had a few coffees today. I gave it up for a year, and I'm back on the train now. So it's kind of like drugs. I'm like, woo. But yeah, so got into that. Did my yoga teacher training, and I had to do a lot of personal development stuff with my business coach. So then I did yoga, and that started to unravel things in me. Just my inability to be present was still really non-existent. And I was doing what I really loved and what I knew that I should have always been doing. But there was some, like, that high-level anxiety was really taking over. Like, I was always running numbers in my head. I was just thinking ahead. It was like I just wanted to get to, and I say this when I do my breathwork workshops, like it was like I was like wishing for the end of my life to be right now to make sure I got there okay. So I was never here. I was always worrying, and I think that came back to a lot of like, values that had been instilled in me about like make sure that you've got a secure job with super and all those things, like use your brain, have a good job, holiday pay, like the security wasn't there with what I do now, and it's not there with what I do now. And I think that was really, there was a real disconnect with what I knew I was supposed to be doing and what my brain was telling me that this isn't okay. Like, get a real job, do real things, like, you know, just make it easier and know that you can just pay your mortgage every month. You've got super there, you've got this there. So I did some kinesiology after my yoga. Not learning it, but I went to one. I went to Shell Marie Kinesiology. She's a yoga instructor where I learned yoga. Awesome. And she was just incredible. Like, things just came up, a lot of stuff about growing up. That disconnect kept popping in. She was like, she'd be hitting on something and she'd be like, and you've left the building. Like, and she'd have to realign everything. She was like, you just...
So that was your go-to response?
Just like,
leave
boom.
your body. Yeah.
Just get out. So we worked through a lot, and at the end, my last session, because I bought a package, like breath came up, and I thought, okay, I need to focus more on the breath part of my yoga. Like, I'm very an active power yoga, like I don't do the breathing stuff as much. And I started looking into that, and then this person who had been looking at their breathwork stuff, one of their sessions came up that I could actually attend, because they were always when I was working previously. So I hit my friend up and off we went. And that was the first session. People were having profound experiences around me. Mine was not at all. I was just struggling to do deep breathing. I was like, have I just been like this? And I've always had neck and problems, and like these muscles are tight and diaphragm's tight. I use my abs to suck it into like this. And so I went breathing deep. I was like, what do you mean my belly's got to go out when I breathe in? This is not a viable way to breathe. And I just spent but I still felt great afterwards. Like, I felt calmer, a little more at peace, a little bit less panicked about the future. And so I went back, and and then I went somewhere else and tried, and just a few different practitioners with groups, with one-on-one, and really just started smashing it out. Like, and again, I was still in that mindset of like, I just want the end result now, like, which is how I've always been: tick a box, tick a box, tick a box. Okay, move on, tick, tick, tick. Like, no process, never about wasn't ever about the process. And I was just like, when they were like, it's like DMT, I was like, well, I'll just go and get some DMT then. Why would I bother with all this breath work if I can just like do it quick? Can I do them together? Like, you know, maybe both, right? And then I was like, no. Like,
are you an extremist by any chance? All or nothing person?
I know, 100%. And so I was kind of like, all right, no, this is the lesson. Slow down, unlearn 40-something years of what I've trained myself to be, and just try to, because what I was doing obviously wasn't working before. I wasn't enjoying life. I wasn't enjoying things. I wasn't enjoying much. So I just went through the process and dedicated the hours to it and kept going and going and going. And I was just like, I need this in my life. I need this in my life to give to other people, because it helps with so much. Like, I'm a massive emotional eater, or like stress eater. Like, I just like mindless eat. It's like, where has that gone? I used to smoke the same thing. Like, oh, where'd that smoke go? Like, all the things, like, And that just stopped. That was incredible. I'm a hoarder, and after one of amazing group session I went up to, I just got up on the Monday morning and I was just like, I need everything out of my house right now.
You declutter.
I'd even,
so you're a recovered hoarder.
I'm recovering, because old patterns are hard. But like, a lot of stuff I'd hoarded since I got out of jail. I'd hoarded money, and my house was literally falling down around me. Like, I needed a new roof bits. I had no gut. It looked like
but that kind of goes back to the security
100%,
value that you were, you need some security
rather than spend it.
A lot of people would say that that the opposite of security would be insecurity or instability, but actually, when you run your own business and you run your own life, the opposite of a secure job that gives you security is freedom. And time freedom. And if you're running it properly.
Totally. Agree. Yeah, exactly. And I had no freedom. Like, the fact that I was literally letting my house fall down around me instead of fixing stuff, and that money in the bank doing absolutely nothing, just getting worth less to be. I mean, when I started fixing things at my house, I'd had quotes for stuff here and there in the past, like things cost me twice as much, but that money wasn't worth twice as much. Like, it was doing me no good sitting there, but it was that I need it there just in case. I need it there just in case. So like, and you know, there was no freedom attached to it. So I started fixing things on my house. Like, I just started blowing cash on good things, like, which was so nice to do, because like it was at the point where I'd barely even want anyone to come to my house. I was like, oh my god, I mean, the front yard's still shit, but it was a mess, which is just ridiculous. So I did a couple of courses. I did 2, because I always like to sort of spread the learning and not just rely on one course. Like, I always like varied points of view. And they were both incredible in their own way. They were both amazing. I learned so much. And it's information I can share with people that are in, like, also my PT clients and my yoga classes. And I used to do a lot of mindset coaching, despite the fact I clearly wasn't very good at it myself. I'm good at sharing.
We teach what we most need to learn, babe.
Yeah. So I just knew it was the missing link in so many things for so many people. Like, just getting on top of things that we think are just who we are. How we are, that's just who I am. That's just how I feel. I'm always going to suffer with this anxiety, depression, neck pain, back pain, asthma, like all of those things. They're not who you are. They come from something. And, you know, that's full circle back to the psych, where I was like, you don't need to know where shit comes from, just fix it. But apparently, you don't have to necessarily talk it out if that's not for you. You have to feel it. And like I was saying before, I didn't feel anything. I was numb to feeling stuff. I was action, which is great for other people.
Well, staying really busy is also a way of avoiding your shit, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And like, I'd just go, okay, this happened. No point crying about it. It happened because of this. Nothing you can do. What can I do to move forward? Which was great when I was helping other people who were overly emotional, dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
Then they're getting both sides, but I personally was never getting both sides, because I was never, like, I didn't even cry when I went to jail. I was like, this is happening now. Is it all right? Let's just move on. Let's make it work. And just go there and run the joint. Like, you know, it was like just that, let's move forward. So you have to feel shit to let it go. You have to feel shit to process it. It results in disease and, you know, maladaptive behavior. It affects your genes, like all the things. So...
And then you pass that on to your kids as well.
Exactly. There's
Unless
that ancestral trauma that comes through, and the behavior patterns. And so it's about doing that. And I absolutely love it. Like, I almost get as much out of taking group sessions as I do when I do breathwork myself.
Awesome.
Yeah, like,
so what would you say are the main benefits of breathwork?
I mean, the type of breathwork that I do in my workshops, there's so many different things, like from nose breathing to like stress relief to unblocking your nose to sleep. There's many, many different types of breathwork that you can do. And most of them involve breathing through your nose, because that's the healthy way to breathe. But the type of breathwork we do in workshop is conscious connected breath, which is through your mouth. So it's a little counterintuitive. And it takes you into a different brainwave state. So you're super suggestible. You're in a theta brainwave state. So it manages to tap into things without you having to like dig down through talking and deal with it. So for your nervous system, it's very regulating. You relieve stress from your body. Physical pain was one of the first things that I really noticed to change. Like the neck thing I had and the back thing I had, they would like start pulsing in my first breathwork sessions for ages, and then eventually they not only abated when I was doing breathwork, but also just in life. So the places that you hold your stress and tension, feeling more present in the moment, like being where you are, trusting your intuition is probably one of the biggest ones. Most people that come find that trauma release and just starting to move on from their trauma, anxiety massively. People with anxiety, they're probably the people that get the most.
They're really shallow breathers, aren't they? Normally? So,
and it comes from something.
Yeah,
childhood trauma, ancestral trauma, whatever. Like, it's there for a reason.
any tool that regulates your nervous system and calms it down is
Exactly.
good for really all the things,
and it's
isn't it?
counterintuitive, as I said, because the type of breathing you're doing is not calming your nervous system at that point in time, but it calms it in the long term.
Okay.
Because we're actually like getting into, it's like super ventilation. It's not hyperventilation, but it's super ventilation. We're getting as much oxygen in as we can, which is what takes us into that altered state of consciousness, which is like the DMT type thing. So the main benefits are you just start to trust yourself more as well. Like you're not always looking for external validation from everything. You start to like really connect to who you are, what you want when you start to shed all the layers. Like, and it's like peeling back an onion. There's always more, and things will trigger you again, and habits will pop back up because they're habits, not so much because it's the same trauma triggering it. Like I was saying,
there's just different layers, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. So you just peel back those layers and you sort of find out who you are. And it makes it easier to do what you want to do, to step into your power, to take risks in life, to trust that the outcome in the long run will be exactly what you want and need, to not always assume negatively. And the group work especially is really good for that, because there's all these people with all different reasons for being there, that all feel the same things for very different reasons, whether they feel disconnected from themselves, from others, isolated, lonely, unlovable, all of the things, like they're judged, or they're judgmental themselves, or guilty, all of those things. We all share them for very different reasons. And so there's a sense of community that comes out of that, and that goes with you when you leave as well, because you start to look at other people's behaviour from a different perspective. Like someone cuts in front of you in a car, instead of like, you know, wishing you had a bull bar so you could ram them, or like, you know, pulling finger son's tailgating, overtake. I used to do all of that. I loved a good road rage. Like, I'm sad for the loss of that feeling, but you know that, then you go, oh well, maybe they didn't see me. Maybe they've not driven on this road before, and they need to take the next right hand turn, and
maybe
that was the only gap. Maybe their kid was screaming.
You become much more of an observer of what's going on around you, rather than being so stuck in it.
It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's really just not about you. So that's my journey to now. So now that's what I do. I still PT. I love it. I teach yoga still, but the breathwork is something that's really emerging, and there's a lot of it around now. Like, it's just come out of the shadows and become really mainstream. One of my friends sent me an article the other day, because I think someone on Married at First Sight or something was talking, or one of those shows was talking about doing breath work.
Oh, cool.
And it like really brought it up, and then started talking about how it benefited him.
Mainstream. There's so many opportunities for it in Perth, isn't there?
So
I would imagine that, like, I know that you're doing group in-person sessions, but I would imagine this would also run pretty well online via something like Zoom.
Yeah, totally.
Is that something that you're looking to get into more this year?
Definitely. So the online space is
We
incredible.
should do a combined breathwork plus energy healing session.
Oh, do you know, they go so amazing together. A lot of the people who did one of my courses are energy healers of some one shape or form. And Jamie, who assists me in the group, she's done level 1 and 2, and she's just incredible. So she supports me and does a little bit of sound healing at the end. But people love her support in our groups. They're always like, Jamie, you just what to...
That's cool.
So there's that additional layer of just helping release it while it's being processed, while it's raised,
while it's triggered in your energy field.
Because the thing with the breath work as well is that you'll only go as deep as you're ready to go, so you don't have to be worried that it's all going to be too much, that you're going to have some sort of explosion of feeling of energy or things that you're not ready to deal with. It is that layer effect, and your body will stop you, and if you're feeling uncomfortable, you can just slow it down and then come back in when you're ready. So having that additional energy healing is actually incredible.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've only tried breathwork a couple of times, and I haven't done it with you. But we are going to do a bit of a session, aren't we?
We are.
Bit of a taster session. So hopefully I don't explode.
No.
Live on camera.
I think in about, we're going to do 5 minutes or something. So a breathwork session normally goes for an hour. They can be longer, definitely can be longer. Mine go for an hour of breathing. There's stuff either side. We usually get prepared with some somatic movement, some eye gazing, some things to really like open up your heart center and just sort of prime you for I call it breathwork foreplay. Because, you know,
that.
if I don't have breathwork foreplay, then my session's never good. So
you're not lubed up enough.
Exactly. So that's what I call it. So don't stress, nothing drastic is going to happen in 5 minutes of breathing, but we do active breathing for around about 40 minutes of that usually, and then the last 20 minutes or so is regulating, integrating, coming back into balance, just some nice affirmations and feelings to like, just so you feel nicer at the end of it, because you can feel very raw. And tingly. I'll demonstrate the technique first of all. So when we do conscious connective breathing, ideally it's through the mouth. It can be through the nose and out the mouth, like if you find it really uncomfortable. And I actually did that at first myself because of my many years of like breathing through my mouth and very shallow. I struggled to get that belly breathing going through my mouth at first. Now I can, but it can be through the nose, out the mouth. But ideally, open mouth, bigger hole, more air. That's literally why. It's a 2-part breath where we breathe into our belly really full, fill up the chest, and then let it out.
And get our feet licked by bulldogs
And get
at
our
the same
feet
time.
licked. If you can't manage that 1-2, that sort of wave type breathing, just take in as much air as you can. Like the idea is the more air going in, the better. The second part of the conscious connected breathing is the connected part, which means it's like an oval. You breathe in and there's no like mini pause at the top and there's no mini pause at the bottom. Like as soon as you're pretty much nearly empty, the next one starts. As soon as you're nearly full, the next one starts. So it can take a little while to really get that full breath. But you want to feel your lungs pressing against your ribs. You want to feel your belly expand. You want to feel your chest expand, and you want to get a lot of air. If you're doing this, if you're joining in, laying down is probably the best, and also closing your eyes feels nice. You can use a light pillow, but having your head just on the ground leaves you with the most open throat as well, so you don't really want it to be all like tucked in. So we'll just go through maybe like 5 minutes of conscious connective breathing.
And if you're watching this and you're doing it live with us, then if you've got the opportunity right now, please join us.
Lay down and breathe.
Right now. If you're watching the replay, just put replay in the comments and let us know if you've tried the technique.
Yeah. So what we want to do is just notice any sensations through the body. As I said, you're not going to be deep in 5 minutes, but it will give you a feeling for the breath. It's called breath work. It's not easy. It is not easy. The first 10 minutes of a session are the hardest because you go, my mouth is dry, this hurts, why am I here, why am I doing it? Resistance comes in hard mentally. You just want to stop. I yawn for like the first 10 minutes. Like, and I think, that's why
that's like an energy release though.
Yeah, and it's, again, the resistance to the breath. So, let us do it. I'll talk you through it because I can't breathe and
Do I put my hands anywhere? Or?
You don't you can.
Okay.
Because you're sitting up.
I quite like to put my hands
It's nice to feel, am I breathing in? So you want to be nice and relaxed, shutting down the eyes, opening up the mouth, and just start to take nice deep breaths. You don't need to try and breathe in too much air to begin. But you just want to get that feeling of breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Beautiful. And what we want to start to do is just really connect that breath. So no bottom, no top to the breath. That feeling of it running up, and just as soon as you're nearly there, you're letting it out. And the inhale and the exhale become very even. So we're breathing in 1 and 2 and out 1 and 2. Our inhale starts to become really active, so it's quite a full, and the exhale is just letting it go, but not too slow. So breathing in and let it go. Good. In. Beautiful. Just really starting to regulate the pace of your breath. You don't have to go with my count at all, but you do want to keep it nice and even. And as you start to find that rhythm, you can start to breathe a little deeper. Try to take a little bit more air in, and then just let it fall away. Breathing in nice and deep and letting it fall away. And while you're doing this, the only thing that you need to think about for this next 5 minutes or so is your breath. Any thoughts that are coming into your mind, any resistance, any to-do lists, any weird feeling sensations, just let them be and allow the body to begin to take over. Beautiful. We'd normally be doing this with music, which is really nice, but not today. So just focus on the sound of your breathing. You can start to bring some sound to it. Beautiful. And just taking about 5 more breaths at that pace. And then we're just going to start to speed up that little bit. Good. Beautiful. Breathing in. 1 and 2. And 1 and 2. In, 2, and out, 2. In, 2, out, 2. In, 2, and out, 2. Beautiful. Staying with that pace. Good. Really filling up. If you're not filling it all the way into your ribs, all the way into your diaphragm, all the way into your chest, you're not breathing deep enough. So you want to really start to feel, to oxygenate. You might start to notice that your fingers are getting tingly. You might yawn. You might feel like my mouth is dry. I want to stop. This is the time to keep pushing. The first resistance you feel with breath work is when you show up, and the second is when you start the practice. Your body will take over. Your body knows what to do, but your mind wants you to stop. So we just continue to breathe. And we're going to pick up that pace a little bit more if we can as well. So big in and out. In. And you want to still make sure you're getting those nice, full, deep breaths. If this feels uncomfortable for you, you can slow it back down. We normally take a little longer to start to speed up. But we want to really try and just get that feeling of the extremities might start to tingle. You might start to get cramps in different places. Often the jaw, the dry mouth. But you want to just try and breathe through it. Your body does know what to do. And those areas are just where energy is being held. So big deep breath. Well done. Staying with that breath. You got this. Finding as much air as you can. Good, deep breath in. When you start to get into that theta brainwave state, you may start to get some visualization. You may start to have some emotions start to come up. If you've done breath work a lot before, that can come up really soon. Things like, we want to release things like guilt, shame, anxiety, stress, feeling inferior, all of those things. So let's just really breathe deep. And when feelings come up, don't try to connect to them. Just allow them to come through. Beautiful, big deep breaths in. I haven't kept track of the time, but we'll do about another minute, and then we'll do a breath hold, which is always really fun. Big deep breaths. If you've got the capacity to go a little deeper, to go a little faster, please do at this point. So, but remember, we're not hyperventilating. We want to stay in super ventilation. So the fullness of the breath is more important. Big deep breaths in. Finding that pace if you can. Big deep breaths. Let's do 5 more quick ones together. Breathe. 2 more. Good. And on the next exhale, let it all the way out. And then I want to take you to take a big deep breath in, take in as much air as you can, holding your breath at the top of the breath. Now, at this point in time, we want to connect to any feelings that might be coming up. We want to feel all those sensations all through our body. We want to allow ourselves to feel the tingling. Allow yourselves to feel your rib cage pushing against your body. Feel the sensations, feel the emotions. And when you're ready, you can let that out with a big sigh. In session, we scream, but and then just come back to a nice rhythmic breathing pattern. You can close your mouth and start to take it in through your nose. and just allow yourself to regulate. You want to take nice, long, slow breaths. Really breathing into those feelings, those sensations. Beautiful. And just allow everything to settle down. If you extend your exhale a little bit longer than your inhale as you're breathing now, that really down regulates us. It allows our nervous system to come back into balance. But it's super important just to take your time. We only did 5 minutes. Normally there's music. Normally I talk, surprisingly, to you throughout the journey, allowing you to connect to feelings that you might be feeling and to allow you to really release them. We do body work as well, and we do a lot longer. So just know that's just a taste of the breathing technique. But if you've breathed before, and the more you do breathe, the quicker you drop in. Some of my regulars, they're like there in 2 minutes into it. But it can take a long time otherwise to really get to that point where you get out of your mind and into your body. And that's the hardest part of the breathe. But you just want to be really gentle with yourself when you come out and just allow yourself to feel anything. I find personally, once we've done the 40 minutes and we're in integration, that's when a lot of my emotion comes up. Like if I'm going to have a cry, it generally happens once we stop the breathing and I'm in that processing stage, like emotion will just pop out. It's not always screaming, crying, yelling either. It can be like pure ecstasy. Sometimes people laugh and there's just joy, like that real childlike joy. So I
already had a big cry this morning when I did I had a distant healing from my amazing healer in New Zealand, and that was a past life thing, and I definitely shed a lot of tears from that one. So feeling good after that.
Yeah, sometimes we do a little bit of tapping, or like as I said, we do some somatic activation at the beginning to get you a bit primed. I find the tapping's really good beforehand.
Nice. I love tapping.
Because it just opens up all those meridians, which is exactly where the energy is going to flow. So,
but I definitely felt loads of like, I could feel like I've only tried Wim Hof breathing 2 or 3 times, but that hyperventilation, almost breathing, like I could feel the tingling and numbness of the extremities, and then lots of kind of rushes down my spine and back to my legs and that kind of thing. Is that normal? Or?
Totally normal. Totally normal. The tingling is totally normal. Aches, pains, totally normal.
Oh, and I noticed the occipital point on the back of my head. So you talking about pain before and how your pain kind of like you could really feel it. I could feel all the blood rushing to that spot, which I haven't felt today necessarily, but it's definitely a spot through my like bulging disc in my neck. When it really flares up, I feel that the back of the head, you know, like I feel like I've been bottled, and I felt that pulsing a lot. It's gone away now, but I can feel that pulsing.
And it really does. It highlights all those little areas, and a lot of them are linked to things like, you know, there's so many stories of, you know, trauma coming, like people who may have been, like when we say trauma, it doesn't necessarily mean like the big stuff, like the huge things that you think that's trauma. It's little things. It's behavior patterns that have been repeated. You know, so like for me, they weren't big things, but it might be like, you know, one of Mum's things that stories like claims to fame for me used to be like, you know, she'd tell me not to do something once and I'd never do that thing again. It's like I was this perfect child, but that was really like a trauma response.
But I mean, did that not like just put you in fear? So then you're just scared.
It wasn't even fear. It was more like I just didn't ever like to not be good,
right?
Because I didn't like people to be upset. Like I didn't want Mum to be upset. So
or for you to feel responsible for it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I won't do that then. I was like so good. I did everything I was supposed to do. Like I was this like perfect child, but it didn't come from a place.
You
of...
break that cycle by going to prison,
I know, right? 100%. But it was this thing of like, I didn't not do it again because I wasn't interested. It was like not worth it. Because I just the feelings that came with that. So I learned that the best response when someone didn't want me, or when I got called out or highlighted or seen, was to not do that again. And so that became a learned pattern behavior of just present what's perfect, none of the rest of it. I don't want to be seen. I didn't even like getting singled out for being good when I was a kid, to be honest. Like,
have you broken that pattern completely now, or are there times when it still comes up?
There's probably I think I've broken a lot of it completely. Like, you know, I'm pretty upfront about how I feel and what's going on and all the things like that now. Some of the other patterns are harder to shake, like the hoarding, like I know when I need to breathe or when, but the good thing about it now is that I don't just go, that's just what I'm like high strung, and I go, okay, something's triggering me. What am I trying to be taught by something here? Like,
what else is there to heal?
There's a reason that this symptom is coming out. This isn't just who I am. So something's triggering
it's a learned response, isn't it?
To go back to that learned response.
Yeah.
So you kind of learn as you go, and it definitely, that's a part of the flow and effect into
and you
your
get
life.
triggered way less, don't you, when you've done the work? Like
100%.
I was saying this to friends this morning, I think, or last night. Like, I get excited when I get triggered now because it happens so infrequently that although it doesn't get any, like, I'm 22 years plus into personal development, it doesn't get easier when you get triggered because you get to the darker, more core wounding kind of layers. So that's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard, hectic shit. But because you've done so much healing work before, you know the lightness that's on the other side of that. So when, like, I got to almost, like, I felt a bit like a blank slate because I'd done so much work and really focused so much time on Project Me for so long that I just kind of felt like I was blank slated for a bit. And then I got bored because I'm like, I've spent all these years doing personal development and healing work. That it became another to-do thing. Yeah. And so then I'm like, well, what do I do now? Or do I just be and have fun? And that felt really, really foreign to me. So I kind of went rooting around for something like, what else can I heal?
Yeah.
Almost like in an addict way, like, because I found out I've got addicted to personal development. You can get addicted to it. And, they're chasing those highs because there's highs that come with healing. And now I get triggered very, very infrequently about stuff. It's usually around seeing a lack of integrity usually in leadership positions when people are working with vulnerable people who don't have their own voice. That really triggers me. And so when I get triggered, I'm like, oh, there's something else to heal here. What is it that I'm being triggered by? What am I feeling? What does this represent from the past? How can I go into that? And it becomes just more work to do on yourself,
And different sort of work comes out of it. Like, now that I've, like, taken down a lot of that, like, resistance to feeling other people's stuff, I feel it all the time, and it's really like, now I'm like, okay, I still personally need to work on some boundaries and some skills to not do that. Like, I drive past this shop and I think, oh, no one's ever in there. Like, there's a few right in my neighborhood, and this is like, I think this all the time. I drive past and I see no one there, and like literally hurts my soul, and I worry for their business. Mine's shit at the moment, but I'm worried for them, and I'm like, I wonder if they should do it. Like, I'm a fixer, and then that's coming. That's sort of coming back out.
Because I did that to my own detriment. I never used to think that there was anything wrong with helping other people. That was my jam from when I was really young in school. I was the friend when I was really young that mates would come to with all their problems, and I'd just say a bunch of shit that just seemed to come out of nowhere, and they'd walk away feeling better and I'd feel great. But over the years, and I never saw anything wrong with that until I needed my own energy for myself because I was going through personal shit. And literally, I just remember this really deep and meaningful conversation with one of my besties at the time, talking me through this pattern of you helping other people is just you avoiding your own shit right now, and you need to not help people when it's to your detriment. And I'm like, and I really got it. And then and we were at this massive party, I think it was my own party, and back in London, and walked up the stairs, and the person with the biggest issues made a beeline for me, and I literally just went, how can I help you? They were like, Carly, can I have a chat? And I'm like, and then I literally felt my friend that I've been talking to grab me by the scruff of my neck and pull me away, go, what the fuck are you doing? What have we just spoken about? It really is such a go-to. It's a stress relieving response, but it doesn't help you when you're dealing with stuff at the time.
Exactly. Like, as I say, I'm going, they could do this. Oh, why aren't I doing that in my own stuff? It's I'm avoiding. It's self-sabotage. It's imposter syndrome. It's
who am I to run a successful
good enough,
business?
Worthy, all the things. How
did you feel after what? Can you remember what month you did Reiki with me last year?
I feel like it was in it was definitely in the first half of the year because I was still
like
a good luck.
April
I feel
or-
like it was February or April.
Yeah. I think it was, maybe about a year ago. How did you feel? Because the attunements really shift. It's like having the Reiki attunements is like having a year's worth of weekly healing in terms of what it can do for your own personal vibration. How do you feel that shifted you last year?
I was doing a lot of breath work at the same time, so it's kind of hard to like.
Yeah,
I was in a really good place.
Yeah.
I felt really good. I think I felt more motivated, a bit more self-assured. I took more action. Just better. Yeah. Not so weighed down. I suppose is probably the best way to describe it. Yeah.
Awesome. So, by the way, if anyone's watching and has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and if you're on live, we'll try and answer them while we're running the live. Otherwise, if you're watching the replay, put your question. Farlee will answer it. So, what is something that people can do at home themselves that's just a really easy technique?
Yeah. So there's a few. I mean, the first thing that every person should be doing is breathing through their nose, like, except for when they come and do breath work, in like that transformation breathwork journey type work. The benefits are incredible. There's so much to it. Like, there's a lot of research. There's books. There's some really good books. I'm trying to think of the one that goes through that. It might be The Oxygen Advantage, about how over time, like, our faces have changed.
Because
like
our jaws move forward and everything.
they go
Yeah.
back. So, like, Indigenous cultures, they have big noses and big, broad, open mouths with perfect teeth because all the teeth fit. Things haven't moved. We're not using the correct muscles. We're not breathing right. We're not utilizing nitric oxide to the same extent when we're not breathing through our nose.
And we're filtering. Our nose is like a filter. Whereas it warms the breath, whereas our mouth doesn't. It's just taken in. I listened to a podcast on it once, and I'm like, oh, I'm totally going to breathe through my nose unless I'm panting my bollocks off at the gym, and I can't.
So there's people that have done marathons with nose breathing.
Right.
You've got to retrain. One of the courses I did was with Breathless Expeditions, which is who is mentioned in the article that came from the reality show thing.
Oh yeah.
Incredible. He's a free diver as well, and has done he's done Wim Hof and Oxygen Advantage and all these other courses as well. So there was a lot of that in the training. They can hold their breath for like 5-10, like they're
crazy.
practicing. But they mouth tape when you sleep is a biggie, because if you're nose breathing in the day and you're really making a concerted effort to do so, your body will like just revert back at night, and you'll probably mouth breathe more.
I bought some mouth tape. I should actually use it. I only used it a couple of times. It just felt weird to,
What kind did you have? Did you get the cross one or the one that goes around your lip?
No, it's just in a little cross, yeah. And it just goes like that. It's not uncomfortable.
You can breathe. Like, there's either gaps in the side or gaps in the middle. So there's one that's like, imagine putting on rectangle lipstick, and it's got a slit in the middle that you could even
just put some gaffer tape around
you. Don't do that.
Fully
that's probably the main thing. Nose breathing changes a lot of things. Your heart rate's going to go down. Your heart rate variability is going to go up. You should practice nose breathing when you exercise. Even if it's just walking the dog, you go, okay, I'm going to keep my mouth closed and make sure I'm breathing through my nose for the first 2 minutes, then 3 minutes.
I've been really working on that a lot. Until the last couple of weeks when I've had mad hay fever and sneezing, and my nose has just been running like a mofo. So breathing in and out of my nose also means
unblocking your nose.
Yeah.
There's a tip for that. Ooh. Yeah. So it's like you've just got to breathe normally for a few minutes. Breathe out. Pretty sure it's out. Hold your nose, and then
really.
There's video on YouTube. I think it's a Patrick McKee, and I can't even say his last name, but he's incredible. He's Irish too, so he's kind of fun to listen to. And he does it with kids and stuff as well. So you do that until you have that slight air hunger, and then you should be able to breathe in, go back to normal breathing. So you don't want to have held it to the point where you're gasping, just get back to normal, do a minute or two normal breathing, and then do that again for like 4 or 5 times
to clear the nose.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's a good tip.
Yeah.
One of the good ones is the 4-7-8 technique for sleep.
Yeah.
So that isn't out through the mouth actually. So, and you're supposed to do it sitting up. Is just breathing in for 4, hold for 7, and then breathe out for 8. In for 4, hold for 7.
All through the nose?
No, the out is through the mouth.
Out through the
it's
mouth.
like,
Okay, yeah. So in for 4.
and then
Okay.
anytime your
4, 7, 8.
exhale is longer than your inhale, it's going to be down
It's
regulating
calming,
and calming.
Yeah. What's the box breathing?
So that's a good relaxation technique as well. It just sort of brings you back into balance. It can be used, so it's whatever count in, hold, same count. It's all the same though. So there's a hold at the top and the bottom.
Is that the separate nostril one?
No, that's alternate nostril breathing.
Okay.
And there's so many different
I'm
techniques.
going to be confusing everyone.
Yeah, I know, yeah. So, but look, the 4, 7, 8 before bed is really, really nice.
And how many counts would you do that for?
Do it for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes when you can. 15 minutes is like perfect.
Is that a good one to do if you, like, I've been waking up super early, like 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m., 3 a.m., just going to the gym because I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah.
In those situations, what is a good breathing technique to help you get back to sleep because you're wide awake?
You could do the 4, 7, 8, but you kind of sit up for that. It's good before bed for calming. Any pace where you breathe in for less than you breathe out. So when I'm trying to get to sleep, I usually just like breathe in for 4 and then I'll try and breathe out for 8. I might increase it to a little bit more. And even though I'm breathing quite long, light. You really want to breathe light in life.
So you're not kind of like stressing.
So don't stress it out. You should almost like, I can't remember who said it, but your Harness for Breathless says it all the time, but the perfect breathing, it should be like you're barely breathing at all. You know, there's like this, it's just this really light, gentle breath. In life, you like, there's heart coherence breathing, which is where you're breathing in for 5.5 and out for 5.5, or just 5. And 5 is good, and that just brings everything into balance. But for getting back to sleep, I tend to just slow it down, really drag out the exhales, and you can get them to be longer and longer and just play around with it, and it tends to really just chill you out.
I was really trying hard with my breathing the other night. We had Cam cooked Mexican for dinner on Thursday, and I had loads of chili, and I went to bed, and I swear my heartbeat was like pounding out of my chest like I'd done drugs.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get to sleep and trying to just focus on my breathing and just slow it down, and nothing worked for about an hour, and then I was out.
Yeah.
But
just,
chili before bed doesn't suit me, I don't think.
Yeah, I love chilies.
I love chili too, but not late at night, I don't think.
Yeah, got the heart rate going. Yeah, so you want to down reg, which means just breathing out slower.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, have I missed anything? Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience watching? Or
I don't think I've missed anything about breathing. I always miss something. Later on, I'll go, I should have talked about that. All the things.
Just means another interview.
It means another interview. But definitely keen for doing a combined healing. But I've just opened. I've just begun at a new studio for this year, because the beautiful space I was using last year on Sundays is not doing Sundays anymore. It's kind of their house as well. It's beautiful. So the yoga studio that I like to go to, I approached them and they have kindly allowed me to use their studio on a Sunday afternoon, which is when I like to do the breathes. So I've set up the 2 events for February. One is on the 4th, 25th, I'm thinking, is the Sunday a few weeks after that.
What's the location?
It is Mount Lawley. It's Yoga Om studio in Mount Lawley, which is nice and central. When I was doing breath work, it was such a struggle finding somewhere that wasn't in Freo. Things like this is in Freo, and that was quite regular, and that wasn't like cost prohibitive to do to the extent that I wanted to do it at first. So that's what I've tried. That's the sort of like approach that I've taken with my groups. I've kept it relatively low price. The groups are nice and small and fairly regular. We went from weekly to fortnightly last year. Over the next couple months, I think it's about 3 weeks in between, but then we'll be back to fortnightly when all the public holidays and stuff are out of the way. But I have opened up the Eventbrite for the 2 February dates, and I popped in a discount code of your name.
Awesome.
For 20% off.
CARLY.
Yes. I spelled it like that. No, I did. I'm obsessed with spelling, so there's no fear there.
So we'll put the Eventbrite link in the description of this video as well.
My Insta, I think, is on there. So on my Insta, I've got a link tree. and in there is the link to the group, the Eventbrite sessions, and then there's
I'll
another
post
one
the
for
link to the link tree in the group description as well.
Yeah.
Just make it easier.
Perfect.
Just click on it.
Yeah. And then there's a thing for a one-on-one chat if you're interested in that, which takes you to WhatsApp. But you can also reach out to me directly. So
definitely have a chat with Farlee if you feel like you want to do some breath work to release whatever you've got going on. And what about some online stuff this year via Zoom?
Definitely open to getting into the online space.
Because there's a bunch of people watching, or will be watching this video, that are not anywhere near Perth, let alone Mount Lawley. So who would probably love the opportunity to work with you, whether it's online or however it goes. So let's
for
get
online,
that.
all you need is somewhere to lay down, a nice quiet space, speaker or headphones. It can be really nice and immersive in that way. I do a fair bit of my sessions online now, like when I need to breathe.
Awesome.
And they're definitely just as powerful. You just need to make sure there's no distractions. But that's definitely the way I am looking to move forward with my one-on-ones, so that my dog doesn't annoy people at my house. But he does go outside when people come. And if you like Rottweilers, it's always a good time to meet him anyway. He's a big teddy bear, so everybody loves him. It's like the aftercare, he comes in for hugs at the end. But yeah,
what
definitely.
about group online stuff?
Yeah, group online stuff is another way that I've been looking to go.
Yeah.
I have been procrastinating on it. I've been procrastinating on all of the
Coach
things.
Carly's going to give her a
She really does
royal
need
kick
to.
up the arse. Yeah.
I need to, I'm like, oh, my computer's getting really old. I should probably buy another one. I need to do this. I need to do that. I make all the excuses in the world. I need to update my Zoom and all of that sort of stuff. So if you have a small group and you're looking to do it, if you're in a workplace and you're looking to do it in person or online, there's 100% options that we can talk about if you want to reach out.
Well, we should probably tap into my Phoenix Transformation student group and use my group Zoom, because it all runs totally fine in there.
Probably. Why not? Why not? Well, you saw the trouble
just
that
bring
myself
you on as a
and
guest.
yeah, that would work. That would work. You saw the trouble Kelly and I
Look
had
at
when.
look at her going, oh fuck,
I'm like,
fuck. Now we're
Jesus
gonna do
Christ.
something.
No, I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it. I get to talk
We'll
at a
make
screen.
it happen. We'll make it happen.
I used to do a lot of live, so
Yeah.
I've become very good at talking to a screen.
Yep, good. Well, I mean, later on at 6:00 tonight, I'm doing my group distant healing. There's like 30 people joining.
Amazing.
I've got one dog and 2 cats as well, and it gets bigger every time. And it's so cool seeing everyone's faces on Zoom. I mean, I love doing Facebook Lives. I love seeing everyone's names flick up as they're joining.
Yeah.
But there's something about Zoom where you can see everyone's faces and you can watch everyone's breathing while they're laying down, and you can mute people, so it's not like you're hearing everyone's having panting in the background like you would in a group session.
COVID was really good for that because it got people used to that.
Yeah,
like I did a lot of
yeah.
fitness classes and yoga, and even just my one-on-one clients over Zoom, and became so commonplace to talk to someone over a screen. And
because why restrict yourself to one location that you're limiting the amount of people that can get there, right?
Yeah, totally.
And then when the location falls through, then you're up shit creek. On Zoom, it doesn't matter.
that is so true.
Just the internet has to work.
The internet has to work, and we are in a Western country. One would hope that
Yes.
it could maintain a feed. But yeah, so that's the way that I'm looking to move this year. So if you're interested in group online, individual online, or if you are in Perth, and you've got questions about how the group work, how it's different to one-on-one, what to expect, do reach out, ask all the questions. I love talking about breath work, as you could probably tell, because I've gone on and on and on about it today. And even if your questions aren't related to the transformation stuff, that real deep healing, even if you just want tips for a moment of anxiety, it's a science modality that has been around for ages, as well as that holistic modality.
And psychologists teach breathing techniques in mindfulness,
Exactly.
don't they? So
and
all that
doctors
woo-woo.
will tell you to do the 10 deep breaths when you're having a moment. The power of the breath has always been there. We've just really fallen away from utilizing it.
I mean, how often, if you're having, like you say, having a moment, how often do people go, okay, it's okay, just sit down and breathe?
Yeah.
It's like such a common thing, isn't
we know.
it? But,
And when you're stressed out, how often do you go, oh my God, I'm clenching my jaw?
Yeah, or just breathing from your diaphragm.
Even
and not
taking a
from your
breath.
belly,
Yeah, exactly. So our breathing really is indicative of our state. And you can alter
So
your
is hoarding.
state. Yeah, I know. My house is a stack. I've got so much better. Like,
Babe, if you want me to come around on like the decluttering queen, we will crank up the tunes.
I mean, maybe you
have a
to.
coffee, and just I'm all about just going, do you need this? Is it going to kill you if you throw it away? Let's give it to charity. Let's give it to those shops that are empty.
Yeah, give it to the shops that are. I mean, they sell coffee and stuff. Well, they can have it anyway.
We'll go and buy coffee from them, and then you saw me. Where did you come around my house when I was about to move out? Because I had to declutter. We've got a 20. I moved into Cam's place. We've got a 20-foot sea container full of our shit. But I decluttered like a mofo, and I had like basically a whole room. Whenever anyone was coming around for Reiki workshops, I'm like, please take some shit home with you.
Oh, I saw all your posts saying, come and get this, come and get that. Yeah, I've given a lot away. I've done skip bins. One time I took clothes to the salvos and they wondered who was dead. There was that man. And that was like one round, because I could installments. It has to have an installments for me. I'm like, oh, but that reminds me. But those jeans from 1995, you never know. Like, yeah. So it's a work in progress, but definitely.
We all are. We're all a work in progress. Yeah.
Totally.
Or as I heard the other day, wanker in progress. That was a new one. I haven't heard that before. That was good.
Neither have I.
We're not wankers in progress. We're works in progress.
We can be women.
Women in progress, yeah.
Awesome. In power.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So if you would like Farlee to message you, drop breathe in the comments below and she will get in contact with you directly. I'll put all her links and stuff in the not show notes, because that's not what Facebook Live is all about, but in the in the description of the video. And yeah, look forward to doing a mutual breathwork and energy session
like
combined
a mini retreat
on
day.
Zoom. We're going to do it on Zoom. Well, we'll
online retreat.
We might be live together, but we'll run it on Zoom. Yeah,
I love that.
Cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, if you're watching the replay, then put replay and any questions that you've got, and we will speak to you again soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Happy Wednesday.